The Dow Jones Industrial Average closes 418 points higher, or 1.3%. The S&P 500 was up 1.2%, while the Nasdaq added 0.9%. The major averages had their biggest weekly gains since June last week. The 10-year Treasury yield on Monday ticked higher, recovering from an earlier decline. Before we continue, if you enjoyed watching the video, please share your thoughts by clicking the like button and writing them in the comments section below. If you subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell, you will be among the first people to find out when new videos are published on the channel. So let's just get started. Rishi Sunak will become Britain's first Prime Minister of colour on Tuesday after he won the race to lead the Conservative Party. He replaces Liz Truss, who only lasted 44 days before she said she would resign. The multi-millionaire former hedge fund boss will be expected to make deep spending cuts to try to rebuild Britain's fiscal reputation. The Conservatives have chosen Rishi Sunak as their new Prime Minister, replacing Boris Johnson, who was forced out of office after a series of scandals. Historian Anthony Selden says Sunak has the most difficult economic and political inheritance of any British leader since World War II. Analysts question whether he can tackle the country's finances while holding the party's warring factions together. He will become the country's first Prime Minister of Indian origin after his family migrated to Britain in the 1960s. Sunak attended Oxford University and Stanford University and is married to the daughter of Infosys founder Narayana Murthy. Eurozone is likely entering a recession with business activity contracting at the fastest pace in nearly 2 years this month. Flash Composite Purchasing Managers Index, PMI, fell to 47.1 from 48.1 in September, below expectations for 47.5 in Reuters poll. October was the fourth month below the 50 mark, separating growth from contraction, and was the lowest reading since November 2020. Optimism among manufacturers about the year ahead fell to its lowest level since May 2020, when the global pandemic was tightening its grip. China's official third-quarter gross domestic product grew by 3.9% from a year ago, beating expectations. Analysts polled by Reuters prior to October 18 had expected China to report GDP growth of 3.4% for the third quarter. China also released trade data for September after an unexplained silence on the figures, which had been expected on October 14. Retail sales grew by 2.5% in September from a year ago, slowing from August and missing expectations of 3.3%. Urban unemployment rate ticked up to 5.5%, but remained far higher at 17.9%. For the first 3 quarters, per capita disposable income of urban residents rose 2.3% year-on-year, when accounting for inflation. Medtronic announced Monday that it intends to separate its combined patient monitoring and respiratory interventions businesses. RBC Capital analysts, who have an outperform rating and a $110 per share price target on the stock, said Medtronic's strategic portfolio review is an ongoing process with a focus on building ecosystems across its portfolio. Coinbase's Nasdaq coin, APY of 15 bits per second on stable coin balances may be driving customers to higher yielding alternatives. Mizuho Securities analysts have a $42 price target on the stock. They believe the rise in US stablecoin, alongside Coinbase's revenue sharing agreement with Circle, has helped boost interest income in recent quarters. The prices of Apple's Apple TV Plus and Apple Music subscription services will be raised on Monday. The move marks the first time the prices of the services have been raised in the US. In a statement to 9 to 5 Mac, Apple said the price rises are a result of an increase in licensing costs. Shares of electric car maker Tesla were down around 3% in New York before the market open on Monday. Company slashed the price of its Model 3 and Model Y vehicles in China, one of the company's most critical markets. Price cuts reverse some of the price increases the company was forced to carry out earlier this year in China and the US. The yen hit a low of 149.70 per dollar overnight before being swept to a high of 145.28 within minutes. Yen volatility surged to its highest since September 21, the day before the BOJ stepped in to prop up the currency. Sterling seesawed after former Chancellor Rishi Sunak emerged as the next leader of Britain's Conservatives. The US dollar rose against the euro, but China's yuan fell to a new record low against the dollar. Chinese President Xi Jinping secured a precedent-breaking third leadership term, picking a top governing body stacked with loyalists. Analysts warn that Xi is likely to stick to his zero-COVID policy and could favor the state over private sector growth. Oil prices steadied in choppy trade on Monday, as weakening U.S. business activity data eased expectations for more aggressive interest rate hikes. Data showing demand from China remained lackluster in September limited prices. China's September crude imports of 9.79 million barrels per day were 2% below a year earlier. The latest survey of the world's Purchasing Managers Index, PMI, has indicated that the U.S. economy may be slowing down, a positive signal for fuel demand. A weakening economy could lead the U.S. Federal Reserve to slow its rate hike policies, an analyst said. Oil prices rose last week despite the release of 15 million barrels of oil from the Strategic Petroleum Reserves. Gas in an area of the vast Permian known as Waha was trading for as little as 20 cents per million British thermal units on Monday. That compares with the US benchmark futures contract that's trading around $5 and European prices close to $28. Tight gas markets in Europe and Asia threaten to have knock-on effects for diesel, coal and power.